Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the meeting to order. Please join us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Okay, our next item would be item number 2 is correspondence. We don't have any tonight. We'll move to item number 3, public comment session for items that are on tonight's agenda. And I don't have anyone signed up to speak for that one. We'll move to item number 4, presentations and guests. We have 2 tonight, and the first one up will be Mr. Nick Vallone from Rolling V Bus Company. Welcome.
Basis tonight, Nick Vallone, Rolling V. I am simply here to answer any questions that you all may have about the recent potential acquisition of Rolling V Bus Corp by Beacon Mobility, DBA Vanpool. So here to answer questions if anybody has any, or give some background if not.
Okay, who's up? George? I guess just simply, I think most of the concerns that I've been hearing are there really going to be any changes that that we need to be prepared for going forward? I mean, I know we have a contract. Will all that just stay in place?
Yeah, that's the most important thing to recognize. The change in control consent that we're seeking is simply that Rolling V Bus Corp was previously a C Corp owned by Phil Vallone and Linda DiSabato, has been since 1990. This is a new entity placed on top of that, removing those 2 individuals, my father and my aunt, as the owner. The company is the same. The tax ID is the same. The employees are the same. The properties are the same. The procedures are the same. The contract is the same. There's no change in any of those things. I understand there were some additional kind of questions or concerns that I can speak to, and I'm happy I have plenty of time to answer those questions. But the only change in control consent we're looking for is the understanding that there used to be 2 individuals, now it is a larger corporation. Aside from that, there's long-term leases signed for the existing facility. Employment contracts for myself. I'm the executive vice president of Rolling V, by the way. I grew up in this business. And yeah, the business remains the same. And I can provide some perspective too on that. These opportunities exist for private school bus contractors in perpetuity. And over the years, there are certain, say, not to name names, but a first student would be a potential suitor for a private contractor. In those types of acquisitions, the next day the company looks different. There's a different name on the side of the bus. There are different policies and procedures. There are different systems, and there are new people inserted and infused into the business. We've passed on those opportunities time and time again because of our reputation in student transportation and the pride for our brand. So this new group that has come along, we've been observing for years due to our involvement in the industry, watching them acquire companies like ours and appreciating how they do it. So for what it's worth, we made an informed decision to make sure there was minimal, if any, disruption to day-to-day, and I believe we've done that.
Okay. Jim?
Nick, is the unit price for these buses going to kind of remain the same, or after our contract is up at the end of the year or however long it goes, is there going to be a surprise for us coming?
Absolutely not. I mean, all of the controls that you as a school district have remain in place. The contract is the same. The unit rates are the same. There is nobody has the right, you or I, to go and change that at the moment. We have a contract through 27, 28.
I think it's 28.
Yeah, at the end of that, just like we've come to the end of multiple 5-year contracts in our history together, where we get together and decide whether or not a renewal is in order, or if there needs to be a bid. And those procedures remain in place going forward.
And there's one more question. It's a little off your sale part, but it's just about this business.
Yeah.
Because you guys have quite a lot of school districts.
Yeah.
How many people are usually, or how many students are usually on your buses typically? Your buses hold 66 people, right?
Well, buses hold 66 people, they hold 12 people, they hold 20 people, they hold 5 people. I mean,
Big
yeah.
buses.
Big buses, we average, 66 is a tricky number. Adults are 44, children are 66. State of New York identifies an 18-year-old linebacker as a child, right? And we know we're not putting 3 of those children in seats. So it really depends on the geography of the district and the makeup of the bus. In certain districts, we have a split schedule where we do elementary students in the first run and then middle and high school students on the second run. So the elementary makeup might be closer to 60, the high school, middle school might be closer to 40. I don't have an average for you. It is drastically different due to the bell times and the geography. But I can say very confidently that through the driver shortage that I'm sure everybody's aware of, I am hyper aware of, every efficiency and every opportunity there has been to consolidate and make sure we are running as lean as we can on a student to route basis has been explored 10 times over in the last 3 years and the last 30 years.
I have one. Would you say that the Tri-Valley School District is unique in its topography than different districts
Yeah.
around? In the way you approach servicing this district?
Certainly, I think the Tri-Valley District definitely has more of a feeder service where these are smaller vans going up more inaccessible, roadways to provide more, easier access for students rather than, I remember when I was a child, I'd get in my mom's car and go down to the end of the road to catch the bus. So, I mean, those things that we accommodate, certainly there's more of a feeder service and vans that rendezvous and transfer points, definitely unique to the Tri-Valley District.
As far as you know, have you heard about any change in your facility or the facility in Neversink by the new owner?
No,
Is everything going to stay
fortunately,
the same?
yeah. So fortunately, the Valone family and myself included are retaining ownership of these facilities and have long-term leases, 10 years, in fact, signed with the new contractor. So the facilities will not be moving.
Perfect, thank you.
I'd just like to thank the Valone family and Rolly V for your service over the years. See your buses going up and down, you hire local people. And your record for safety has been very good, to say the least. And for me, it's hard to see you move on because we can depend on you. We know who you are. I know who you are. And you've always bring that family mentality to no matter what you do with our kids. And our kids are the most important to us here at Tri-Valley. And your safety record, as far as I know, is very, very good. I know you've had a few incidences, but that's what they were, just incidents, and not many got hurt. But it's hard to let go of something that's been successful for me. But I wish you well. And anytime a family moves on and an LLC takes over, I have questions. I have questions because I don't know it. I don't know who they are. But thank you for all your work you've done and what you've done for Tri-Valley.
I appreciate that, George. And I telling you I'm here today and I'll be here tomorrow. And if it were appropriate, I would show everybody my Rolling V tattoo. It's in my blood and I'm not going anywhere, but I truly appreciate that. And I really think that, I hate to say it, but we'll have additional resources that weren't available to you know, a mom and pop shop that were in the past. One thing I'm excited about, and I can't make any promises today, but it is, you know, we're going to be installing a drive cam system, which is a system that looks at the dash and at the driver and detects distracted driving through artificial intelligence. I can't believe I'm saying that. But you know, these new things and new technologies and new resources that a big umbrella brings. So I'm going to try my best to harness those opportunities, but keep that Valone touch on the business so long as I'm here, and I expect that to be for a long time.
Tammy? Bruce? Okay, everybody's good? All right, I'm going to propose that we make a motion to approve the transfer of ownership of Rolling V Bus Corporation, Phil Valone and Linda DiSabato to Vanpool Transportation. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Rose,
Second.
second by Tammy. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote by hand. All those in yea? And George is
I have
recused.
to apologize. I have to recuse myself. I see I'm listed as one of the references on the, thank you for that.
Somehow I'm not surprised. Okay, so Norma, that is just George is recusing and everybody else is unanimous. And be it resolved, the board approves the transfer of the Rolling V Bus Corporation, Phil Valone and Linda DiSabato to Vanpool. Congratulations. Thank you.
Meeting most of you, I just want to send my contact information. Aaron and Bob are always accessible. Any other questions come up for you to think of tonight, approve or not approve?
Thank you, Nick. Thank you.
Right, man.
Thank you. Okay, moving along to item 4B is the presentation from the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Mr. Frank Snyder.
Thank you, Walt. So in the summer, we looked at just some Regents data from June. We're going to take a look at all of our state testing data now that's been released for the 3 through 8th grade. This year or last year, they had brand new standards, so it took them a little longer to score them and get our results out, and they were embargoed for quite a while. But we're going to take a look and we'll talk about some areas that we are going to change and take some deep dives into. And we're going to look at our region scores for the whole year, including January, June, which we already reviewed, and August. So we presented this yesterday at our conference just to give our staff an idea, where do we stand as a district? Because really only if we know where we are and how can we work together can we really move our children forward. So we started with this quote, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. So it's really going to take a team effort. We're coming off of that pandemic. Kids are in different areas. What can we do to move them together as a single unit? So we're going to start with participation. Our elementary school did a great job with some very high participation levels. Our middle school dipped off a little bit. 8th grade, the math and science are low just because we have a cohort that takes the living environment regions. So they are enrolled here, but they don't take this assessment. So they get counted as a lower dip. Same thing with our math. They take Algebra 1 in 8th grade. So though they're in the cohort, they're not participating in this exam. So 3rd grade, as we can see, it's the first time they're taking the test. It's the first time we had new standards. We did have a lot of level 1 students, which we are taking a hard look at to see how we can move them to level 2s and up to level 3s and really show some growth. We're going to start taking a look at how cohorts grow. we talked about yesterday, looking at how to fill gaps not only in what students know and are able to do, but maybe some spots in our curriculum that we can improve to help look at it. So it's really going to be a twofold process to really grow our kids over the next few years. Fourth grade math did much better. They are moving to at least a level 3. Our fifth grade is a little more balanced in the 1, 2, and 3 level. So there's some good numbers in some areas, and some other areas we really have to start improving. But math, again, is doing better for that middle road level 3 performance. Sixth grade is our group that did by far the best for level 3 and level 4s, over 50% achieving those levels for us. So they have worked real hard. Those teachers in that group should be commended for their work. But we still have 1s and 2s, so there's work that kids need to get help with, and we have the staff to do that. Our elementary school has started 2 new programs. One was ARC, the American Reading Corporation's first year last year, so some students will really try to see how that moves them the next year or two. Big Ideas has been around for about 3 years. That's our math program. And we can see as they go through the program, the math has accelerated some students' attainment on the state level standards. This is our 7th grade. We had a lower participation if we go back to the original one, but our 7th grade, we really need to take a deep dive into the curriculum. We've had teachers reach out for ideas already over the summer, which we started to implement, and we'll see how they progress through the year. We also are having Ulster BOCES come in with our math program to do an assessment on where we are and give us some suggestions on how we can grow our teachers and our students. That way we can see higher achievement levels here. In 8th grade, we did really well on the science exam, as you can see in the gray sheets. And then as we talked about, this is the last full ELA cohort. Their honors kids still take the assessments, and the ELA here is by far the strongest out of all the groups. So that cohort of teachers teaching our 8th grade students are really getting them prepared and doing some really strong teaching in that grade level to help get our students where they need to be. So this one is a little harder to read, but this is participation by regents. So January, June, it has the highest numbers because that's typically when students would take regents, and then what we offered in August. So this just gives you an idea of when children are taking regents exams. And then this is the results from them. Our January ELA is high. That's when the honors class does take the regents. They do not take it in June with the regular ed students and cohort. So that group has done very well, hitting above 80. And then we discussed some of this. We have to take a look at what are we doing in our summer programs. Those are children who have already struggled passing the regents. And then we had them in for about 15 days. But how do we make that more meaningful where they can attain achievement as well? So we have some areas that we really need to look at and improving. We're really taking a look at our curriculum maps. How are we aligning them with the standards? We're trying to rebuild excitement in school for kids to understand why working hard pays off. How do we develop opportunities for them to see long-term into the future of why these little pieces of their life build and build to get them to open doors for successful futures for themselves. Do we have any questions? I can go back. I did a general overview.
Would you say that state testing gives an accurate depiction of how our students are actually doing?
It's a good question. State testing is always one of those, it's a one-time shot in the dark. Sometimes kids test for 2 days. We have a variety of children that come from different households that have different, you could have a traumatic event a day or two before you're in school and the test is there. Are you going to perform as well? It's a data point. It gives us a measure. It's not the only measure that we should be focused on, but we do have to give our children a shot. We don't want to teach to the test, but we want to provide them opportunities to practice test-like questions to get that rigor so they don't just show up one day and it's completely different. So we are working on developing languages that we all use when we're speaking with the children that match what the test is asking. That's always changing. We're already on our 3rd set of standards in the last 10 years. Hopefully this one stays around a little longer, but it's always that cat and mouse game, and it's always a one-time shot in the dark. So that's why we have things like the ERLA, we have IXL, we have other tools to measure their progress, and it all builds a profile for the kids. And when they do leave that, take the SATs, that's going by the wayside sometimes too. But it is practice. It is a good piece to learn that sometimes you have to grit through, you have to be determined, you have to kind of develop skills to take these tests. We all, as professionals, sometimes have to take some kind of assessment or test. So it's really building them for a career that they may want to go into.
And now, sometimes, even throughout the year, there are students who just don't test well, even on regular tests. What are we doing for those students who are trying their hardest, but just can't figure it out?
So we're starting, I believe in the guideposts, I put a study, one activity in. We're going to be sending those out to different teachers of how to study more effectively by research-based strategies, practicing how do you review material over a longer period of time instead of cramming the night before. Some of it's teaching executive functioning skills about how to plan your time. And I know that Ms. Williams has started that in the middle school this year, the first month. That was a focus of some of the teaching staff. So we are looking into how to teach them how to prepare better.
Thank you.
You pull up the last, last scale, please? Yes. Now, the numbers there represent the number of students that's taking the test?
This one?
Like 82, 78, 79?
This one represents the averages.
Oh, the averages, okay.
This previous graph represents the numbers actually taking the test. We had a discussion as a staff as well, pushing rigor. So we have more students taking, especially the higher level science exams like chemistry and physics, really trying to get them to understand that they have the ability to take these harder level courses and that we're here to provide the assistance so they can find success. We really want to ramp up the rigor so they are capable of doing it in college or in their career.
Thank you.
Do you know how this presentation ranks up to the rest of the students in this state, other schools? What is there a score given to how we rank in this?
Our report card will come out with rankings are a couple years past. We can pull data to compare. I find sometimes comparing our data to, say, us versus Sullivan County, we're not competing with Sullivan County. We're not competing just with New York State. We're competing with proficiencies that kids are going to have to compete across the board. So though we can compare to what's here or around us, our kids aren't competing with just the local environment. So I like to focus on growing them in their personal capacity as opposed to just comparing them to someone else, because we're competing globally, really.
So we don't know how we stand.
I can pull that. I can get that data for you.
I'd like to know. I know, and I know it's subjective.
Yep. We definitely can. They present a graph that compares. It's an easy pull we can get for you.
Anybody else?
Yes. Hi. I'm looking at the next slide with the region scores, the blue, thank you. I see, you said these are the average scores for our students.
Correct.
Okay. The majority of them are in the 70s, between the 40s and the 70 percentile. Is that comparable to other districts and nationwide, or are our grades lower than other districts and nationwide?
So New York is one of the only states to give the Regents exams. So it'd be us in California, I believe, still gives them. We can pull comparatively and to find out where we fall compared to the other schools. Again, if we're average with the other schools, that sounds okay, but they're again competing, like I said, with more than just what's in our county or Ulster County. We have to really think about developing skills where they are truly highly competitive with other places.
Okay. And I have another question. If you could return to the 8th grade state assessment. We have For the math category, we have 21 students that tested at level 1. For the ELA math and science.
We did for math, they tested at level 1.
Okay. Why is that such a high number for 8th grade, and looking back at the others, it was much lower?
So each cohort is different. So we could go back and take a look at this cohort the last couple years. They did have at their formative time, I believe it's 6th grade, when they went home for COVID for the last couple years. So could be a reason. I don't like to blame COVID, but that's also why we're taking a look with Ulster to see where we need to improve with our math program after we took that initial look in the summer.
Okay, thank you.
I do want to add that this is for our 8th graders. So our 8th graders that are in the advanced classes are taking algebra.
Yes.
So if all the 8th graders took the state exam, our 3s and 4s would look a lot different. But those kids have stepped into algebra.
Okay,
Does that
thank
make
you.
sense? Okay.
For the students that do the advanced work and challenge themselves with some of these more difficult classes, is there a weighted system when we start determining class rank, things of that nature? Because I can tell you as a parent of a student in the honors program, I don't like to see my student struggle in the honors program if they could be in the regular program and do fine when all of those grades are added up when they leave for college. So I'm just curious, is there a weighted system, or is it not that way?
I don't believe we have a weighted system. I can get confirmation for you. We were having a discussion the other day. I believe they do not weight it. That goes back to grades, having a 90 but not having to do much. Is that worth the same as getting an 80 where you struggle, learn to grit, really develop skills? We had to take a look at everything in perspective for kids' overall development and success after they leave here.
Thank you.
There actually is a weighted average. When you get to the college point, you will get a transcript that has your grades, and then you get a weighted average as well. So they do weight all the honor stuff.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Got to go back to this ranking thing. Talk about preparing everybody globally, and we don't judge them against other schools and all this other stuff, but the Regents is kind of a standardized test. And I would think that's the first thing you're going to look at to judge ourselves on how we're doing towards other schools, and really how we measure up, and then start from there. But we don't know where we rank. Do you know, Aaron?
So this data just came out. So we're just absorbing it and sharing it with our staff. And we have not pulled the comparisons yet with the county or with the state, but we will.
Because I've been hearing horror stories. We're at 37% up in the state where we rank. And I just was trying to find somebody to verify that.
Yeah, let us put together a couple of different ways to look at it, because we'll have a county comparison with districts. We can do a region comparison. We can do a state comparison. And that will rank us with, among, or against, schools of our size, our demographics, our socioeconomic status. So we take a look at all of that. But yeah, we'll pull that together.
I think Jim raises a good question, but a better question to ask is, what's our plan? What's our plan to bring these grades up on our students? We as a board, we need to know that, because if you need certain things, let's get it done. Because the only people who are suffering is the kids here, and if they are suffering. But please let us know what you need, how to get this up, and give us your plan. I think that's important, because it is out there in the public that they want to know. They want to know how Tri-Valley is doing. Thank you.
Thank you for your support, George.
Anybody else? Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. Okay, we have, actually, we have 4C. We have a presentation from elementary school principal, Mr. Richard Biebenroth.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So I just wanted to start with a quote from Benjamin Franklin: "An investment of knowledge pays the best dividends," and hopefully that compounds and builds to the future. And this is what we're going to work towards some of what's happening later. Okay. So I wanted to share with you, we had a fire prevention day. We had our local fire departments come in. They did a great job of showcasing not just what they do in their equipment, but how to be safe, ways to be safe. We had our junior firefighters from the high school come down and show. It's also a good recruiting tool for our local volunteer fire departments. They need young blood coming in, and getting a 12-year-old excited might pay dividends in the near future. So I want to thank our local fire departments that came down. We had 6 fire departments down here. And hopefully it's a great thing where we feed them students and our students learn about fire safety and being safe. All right. I wanted to look at our elementary attendance year to date. We set a goal of 94% for the end of the year. Right now, we are slightly below that. And there's one of our problems is our pre-K, which is at 89%. A lot of these children are, hopefully those numbers will go up. It's their first time getting exposed to a lot of germs. A lot of them haven't been around a lot of children. Also, the county has a fair amount of hand, foot, and mouth disease, which spreads very easily through the younger students, as well as strep. So we're hoping to get these numbers up. We're working with MTSS, reaching out to parents, letting them know the importance of it. But if a child is sick, we don't expect them to be here, but we do want to make sure we get those numbers up. Our goal is 94%. We're at 93.4%. But if you look at pre-K, it's at 89%. And that's, I don't want to say it's a problem, but we want to develop the good habits, but we know there's a lot going on with actual documented sicknesses. On Tuesday, we had our fall festival parade / Halloween parade. It was a great event. We had our entire school, so we had 500 students walking around. We did 2 laps of the bus parking lot. The students loved it. It was just a really fun day, and just to get that energy back, the students enjoyed it. I did get to visit a few celebrations in the classrooms. We had 3rd grade students reading spooky stories that they wrote, which was a lot of fun. They wrote narrative stories with dialogue and just spooky stories. Teachers did a great job of tying it into making it educational as well as fun. Want to share with you Friday morning. So typically in the morning, we stop what we're doing. I come on, or Miss Pringle, our students come on, and we do our morning announcements, what's going on. We do the pledge, what's for lunch. And we're trying something new this year where students are making a video. The advantage of this video is that teachers can play it before they start work, but the ideal time. It's not kids in the hallway stopping and looking for a flag to pledge, which sometimes happens because just the way it moves. So I just wanted to play this video. This is made by 6th graders, and this will play tomorrow morning. It does have the pledge in it. Yeah, is it touchscreen? So this will be tomorrow morning. Oh, we got sound going. It's not got doesn't have the pause up.
Happy Friday. Today is October 6th, 2023. Morning announcements.
Oh, this is an old one. Sorry.
Please stand for the pledge and remove all hats and hoods. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Happy birthday to Madeline Mingo, Blake Berthaw, and Nicholas DeVito Jr. Happy birthday, everyone! Today's lunch is pizza pizza, roasted broccoli, fresh banana, and Romanian lettuce. Students and teachers, today is a D-Day. We have 5/6 course. Also, teachers, if you are interested in advising student council, please contact Mr. Biebenbrock. Have a great day. Make great choices. Bye.
So this is what our Friday mornings announcements look like. I did ask teachers for feedback and feedback from them, and it's overwhelmingly positive. Students make this themselves with Ms. Gilio, our technology teacher. They can do it on their own without her. But as we build capacity, it might be something we do every day of the week, but it does take a lot of time from other instruction, but hopefully it's something we can do. The students enjoy it. I'm not gonna start again.
Happy Friday. 6, 2023.
I shared this slide last time, but our STEAM programs are up and running. Sorry. Our STEAM programs are up and running. Students are enjoying it. It's a little harder with elementary, but I may try to get some students in here at some point. We have a circus club that is having a lot of fun. I walk in, they're spinning plates. They're going to be learning unicycling. So it may be something we can look at. I also want to talk about, I was doing a plea for somebody to run our student council. We found somebody, you guys approved it, and now we have some sneaker dates set. We tried to spread them out so they wouldn't be in the winter. So we had problems last year. We had 2 canceled because of weather. Hopefully the weather will be good. If it's not, we'll adjust that. As I said, the after school club. All right. Are there any questions?
Obviously, we're going into season for the colds, flus and stuff. Is there enough sanitary stations in the elementary around the sinks and any around the room, especially for the kindergarten, because you know where their hands go. I mean,
Yeah. So
they have to be taught, to take care of them, be cleanly.
Right. So part of the pre-K curriculum is proper hand washing.
Yes,
it's actually part of their curriculum.
Yes.
There are sanitary stations all around the building. In their classrooms, they all have hand sanitizer right next to the sink, and they're told to use it. But as you said, where their hands go. They use it, and then 2 seconds later, it doesn't matter.
The floors, because they're on the floor all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we work toward that, and it's definitely, they actually have to wash their hands. I think it's for 20 seconds and it's timed. So it's like to get them into a good habit. They sing songs when they wash their hands. So if you sing, I think Happy Birthday is the amount of time you need to wash your hands. So they are working on that, but this is first time in school. This is what happens.
And every room gets wiped down at the end of the day, sanitized by
yep.
the maintenance staff?
Yep, our maintenance wipes down every room.
Thank you.
And the teachers all have wipes as well. And throughout the day, they're wiping because,
And you have enough of them?
Yeah, more than
Okay,
enough.
thank
Thank
you.
you. Any other questions?
Good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
George, I will just add to that our custodians are using the sanitizing mist every afternoon too, so they're getting a double and triple dose in the rooms.
That's practice started a few years ago as flu season. No, even prior to that, as flu season, way before I got here, when there was outbreaks of flu, they have a health department approved sanitizing thing that they'll go in and spray at nighttime, and it's completely harmless for the day.
No, I mean, if we want them in school, we don't want them to get sick here. We want them to come stay in school. So, yes, thank you. And even if we upgrade it more, that's good too. So thank you.
Okay, moving to item number 5 is the superintendent's report from Ms. Erin Long.
Good evening, Tri-Valley. I want to start by saying thank you to all of our faculty, staff, and our PTO for a fantastic trunk and treat that was last Saturday. We had over 1,000 people participating, which is absolutely a record, probably a world record for our area. But it was a wonderful afternoon. And again, it's just a kudos to everyone who comes together to do great things for our kids. Yesterday, we held our first superintendent's conference for the school year. We had breakfast together as an entire faculty and staff, and then we transferred to the theater for some district and state level updates. I don't know if we've done that in the past, but it's a passion of mine that we get together whenever we can to really look at what we're doing together as a district. And as Mr. Snyder presented, we shared with our entire faculty and staff the data. And it's what we really want to bring home to our faculty and our staff is that it takes every single one of us to get our scores where they are. So it's not just the high stakes grades of 3 through 8 and 9 through 12. It's what we do in UPK, in kindergarten, and first. And it's our aides and our assistants that help our kids and support our kids. And it's our counselors that help our kids get through the day. And that, we own all of that together. So certainly room to improve, but we had some great energy and conversations. Last week, Mr. Stryker, Mrs. Shabodi, and myself went to Buffalo to the NYSBA, the New York State School Boards Association Conference. We had really valuable sessions. There was standing room only, certainly in the electric bus sessions, but we really sat in on some good ones, some artificial intelligence information, work with negotiations, some board relationships, so it was really valuable. One of the interesting updates we got, we sat in a panel with New York State, the State Ed Department, and they were sharing with us that, we are all gravely concerned about our migrant families trying to relocate to our communities, and can we support that? They shared a stat that was really kind of eye-opening. They said other than New York City, so not counting the city, they're only looking to place 300 students or a little less across the state. So why we feel like there's this massive impact and we're going to have hundreds of kids knocking down our doors, it really isn't as heavy on this side of the city. So less than 300 kids they're looking to place. And, we know Grahamsville and Neversink might not be on that list. We don't have the type of housing and transportation and food sources. So we'll keep you updated if we hear more. Quick update on our strategic planning. All of the surveys have been in. We checked in with our strategic partners on Friday, and they'll be coming to meet with us pretty soon to share the results of the survey. We had over 200 families participate in the survey. All of our students in grades 4 through 12, our board, our administrators, and our teachers. So we're looking forward to what that information helps us do to move forward. The guidepost for our first session of the guidepost will be released early next week. We did the final read through today, and that will be out. And it's funny, inside that we had a little bit of a nurse's corner added to it, and we've added a graphic in there that kind of gives parents a little bit of a, if they have a fever or if they have an upset stomach, when to keep your children home, and then when the kids can return. So hopefully that will be a good graphic for families to use to measure. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sloan. We move to item number 6, and is there any items the board would like pulled from tonight's consent agenda? Okay, move to item 7, the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda, recommended action, including the business portion? Motion by Pat,
Second.
second by Tammy. Please proceed to vote.
Aye.
That is unanimous, thank you. Be it resolved, the board approves the consent agenda, recommended action, including the business portion, items 7A through M. Moving to item number 8, board committee reports. Don't think we have any tonight. We'll move to item number 9, old business. And tonight, we're going to discuss the driver's ed proposal.
So I'll update us. Last year, we started to explore some opportunities to bring driver's education back into our district. We know it's really difficult to find somebody with that certification. So we reached out to Interborough Driving School, which comes out of New York City, and they met with Bob and I to talk about some options, and very viable options for us with a little bit of flexibility. So if we were to contract with them, it's about, what, $1,000? About $1,000 a kid for the driver's ed program. It's not credit bearing, so they wouldn't get a credit for that, but they can send us multiple drivers and instructors. So we would be able to service our kids, more kids during that driver ed session. We also could run driver's ed until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and kids could take transportation home if that was an option for them. The other thing that they do for us, they offer the 5-hour course, or we could collaborate with the Daniel Pierce Library, who also offers that for students. But they will take the kids to their driver's test. They'll set up the driver's test. They'll take the test in the car that they practice in. So certainly could be a convenience for families on that end. All of the drivers are fingerprinted and they are vetted through the system, so they're cleared to work with students. And if interested, I will gladly continue to pursue this. We might be able to get it started for our second semester. And if we can't manage that, definitely we could have driver's ed in the summer. So I'll take anybody's ideas on that.
$1,000 student at the all-in price.
All in price. It includes the instructor, the driving time, the vehicle, the gas, the sign up for the test, and then taking the student to the test.
How many students a year do you think?
I think if we had a flexible option, I would imagine we'd have 20, maybe 30 sign up for it.
All the mainly seniors, right?
I think it would depend on, sometimes you start with the seniors and then you go to the juniors. I think it really, we would have to do some signups, and we did do a needs assessment. Kids were very interested in it. So I think it would be as much as they could give us and as much as we can get our kids.
How many hours of instruction would each student receive?
I don't know that exactly what the hours for the course is, but I will get that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That $1,000 per student, would families have to pay that, or would the school be paying for that?
And the school would cover that.
So New York State requires classroom time and drive time. Both of those are included? Or
So
this is just driving experience?
It's just driving experience. There is a little classroom time, but it doesn't count towards a credit, like an elective class. There will be classroom instruction that goes with it, but it won't be affiliated with any of the courses that we offer.
So if the kids take this class, they'll be able to get, when they turn 17, if they've had their license for the 6 months, they get a senior license.
They'll get a senior license.
That's
Yep.
That's what I was getting at. Okay.
Yep.
Who teaches the classroom portion of it?
The instructors do. There would be, none of our teachers would be teaching that because we don't have anybody certified to teach driver's ed. So it would be the instructors would do the road time and the classroom time.
Be a teacher, be able to teach the classroom portion. They had to have New York State education.
Not if you're a driving instructor, you could do both. So if I went to driving school in Monticello, I would get driving time and I would get classroom time. For it to be a credit bearing class, they would have to be a New York State certified teacher. Mm-hmm.
Do we have an idea how much time they're going to get in a car? Is it going to be once a semester, or is it going to be numerous times, or?
This is memory trying to tell you. In the conversations, one of the reasons the program works pretty well is they could be here for an hour and a half block, and they could have 5 cars here at once, but so there's 45 minutes per student. And if I recall correctly, there's a minimum of 10 sessions of driving lessons per student for 45 minutes each. But I might be off just a little bit on that time, but it wasn't, I recall my days of driver ed with classroom credit that you spend time in the classroom. And I think we went twice a week. I remember I went at 6:30 in the morning in Monticello. You had to come to school early to drive. But it's the equivalent of that, if not more, of actual practice driving.
How many students per car, per session?
I would say probably 3.
Oh, we don't know though, right?
We don't know. They're cars. They're not like an SUV. They're cars. And they would drive in this area, which would be great for our kids to get used to our roads.
And they would be housing the cars here?
I imagine they would travel with the cars. They would take them back to their business and then bring them up here when they are working with the kids.
And where are they coming from?
Interborough has, when we met with the gentleman, the location was in Monticello. Their corporate headquarters is down in the city because they, excuse me, they do this in the city all day long. But they started up here about 4 years ago, and I believe they may have opened up a satellite office in Liberty also as well. But they're from Monticello. They're local. Interborough.
And the cars, are there certain qualifications you got to have for a driver at your cars, like they do buses?
Meaning like a certain license to drive it?
No, I mean, condition-wise, safety-wise.
Oh, I would think they would have to meet a standard, yes, but we'll confirm that.
And you'll be looking at that? Okay, thank you. Safety is important.
Okay.
So are we okay if I move forward with that?
I'd like to make a motion, move that forward.
Second.
Any discussion?
When does it become so? When does it happen? We have to make another motion to make this program happen? Or can we just do that?
If there's a proposal, we would be voting on a proposal. At this point, we're just voting on getting more information. I don't need,
Are you going to have that for next meeting or the meeting after that?
Probably the meeting after that, we'll get in touch with them and look at some scheduling so we could come back to the table with a proposal and then exact dates. I'd have to work with Mrs. Eberly to see if we can build it into the second semester. And if we don't build it into the second semester during the day, maybe we can offer it as a club after school. So kids could get in the car from 3 to 5. You know, we might have to start slow, but I'll pull all that together for us.
And why only 20 seniors, would you guess, instead of all of them?
I think we will open it up to anybody that wants to. It's just going to be able to, what we can service with what they can provide. You know, can they bring 5 cars up, 10 cars up? You know, but we'll offer it to whoever wants it.
Well, I think I would like to know if they can handle the whole class if they so chose. Who's going to pick that if they can't?
Right. We're going to have to look at a system to pick the students who are going to take the class. Yeah, we'll have to have some type of a list.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with Jim on that. I think we need to be sort of speaking the driver's seat on this. If we have 40, 50 kids that want to take it, they should provide that amount of cars for us, because no kid should be left out just because they don't have enough cars.
It'll be scheduling, so let me pull together. We'll get in touch with them. We'll find out, you know, as much as we can as far as what they can provide for us, and we'll go from there.
And beginning the semester, hopefully the second semester. And that should be good, right? Yeah, sooner or later.
Yep.
Thank you for putting this together.
You're
It's
welcome.
a long time in coming.
Yes.
Thank you.
Aaron, I have one more question. Do we know how many students participated in the BOCES Driver's Ed program? Did they have that this summer?
They did not have it this summer. They did not have a driver.
Really?
So I wouldn't be able to tell you what they did in the past. Pat might. Did any of your kids take driver's ed through the summer?
They did not because of the logistics. If the kids wanted to work, there were classroom sessions and then their driver's lessons were scattered all throughout the day. So if a kid wanted to work, it really wasn't a viable opportunity.
I'll check at my meeting tomorrow.
So since I've been here, you purchase seats for the driver's ed in the summer. We started at requested 10 seats. I think we filled 6 of them. For the longest time, we averaged between 4 and 6 seats in the summer. As kids started, it's hard because they want to work and the timing and everything. So I think we maxed out maybe once at 7 for the summer. But they also had limited number of seats available for the entire county when they were doing it.
Right. And I know I had my son sign up for it, but when he found out that it was at 8 a.m. during summer mornings, he pulled himself out of that. So if we can get kids after school, and they'd be more likely to participate.
Okay, we good? So would say that we're not voting on this because there's no proposal. So we're just looking for more information to come back. We can.
I will work to make sure we do, and if not, I will notify you ahead of time. We'll talk with them, but we'll plan on the December meeting presenting our next steps with that.
Okay, so we're going to move to item number 10, which is public comment session for items that are not on tonight's agenda. And I have one person who signed up, Mr. Michael Mingo. Please step up to the podium. Welcome.
Figured it out from the last time. Hello, I'm back again. I'm here from a month ago. And I got to tell you, I'm actually very disappointed in the school district. I was here because my son didn't go on the senior trip because he had a concussion. Doctor's notes, we were told by the district, and I have the emails right here. I could send them to the district if you would like me to. One was from June 16th at 5:27 p.m. Once all of the kids get back from the trip, the refund will be given, basically is what it says. And then the next one is from June 28th at 4:18 p.m. I apologize about the delay in getting a check cut. I will push it and hope to have it by Friday. That's Friday after June 28th. It is now November. I came to the last meeting and I didn't even receive a thank you for coming. No correspondence from the district. So my problem that I have right now, and I know I've had this discussion with many people in this room, the chain of command in this district is broken. We followed it from talking to advisors, administration, all the way up to the top. And nothing has been done. $650 for a trip that my son paid out of his pocket to go on, and he still doesn't have his money back. It's extremely disappointing. So I hope by the next meeting, I'm not back here wasting my time asking for my son's money again. So hopefully I hear from the district in the next 2 weeks. If not, then I have to go other routes. So thank you for your time. Please take this seriously, as I am, and we'll get this resolved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mingo. Okay, moving to item number 11, announcements, reminders, and upcoming events. Anyone have anything? Tonight? No? Okay. Moving to item number 12, new business. We have a professional services agreement. It is in action. Can I have a motion to accept the professional services agreement?
Motion.
Motion by Rose,
Second.
second by Travis. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote.
Yay.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools that the Board of Education at its November 2nd, 2023 meeting approves the professional services agreement between Tri-Valley CSD and Stephen Veeder for Director of PE, Health and Athletic Services for the 2023 to 2024 school year. Moving to item number 13, board comment session. Jim, anything you want to comment on?
When do you, maybe on the next meeting, talk about bus contract? I have a bunch of questions and comments. It wasn't appropriate for Nick, it's not for him to answer, for us to answer. And I just want to know when is a good time to talk about that.
I would say if you put together some questions, we can give them to the administration. They can get some answers for us, and then we can pass them out. And if you have, we can discuss them at the next meeting.
Okay, I'll do it. Give to who? You, Aaron? Okay.
All right?
Yep.
Brent? Travis?
Just wanted to say thank you, TVTA, for a great meal before the meeting started. Really appreciate it. Thank you for everything.
George?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, if I may. Reference to the student funds. How is that handled? I'm just sort of new to it, just trying to get an idea how it works. And is each one separate? And what is the amount of interest that it's bearing? Is it an interest-bearing account? Because it could be gaining more money, and today money is very hard to get. So any way we can get it, 5%, but you would have to be telling us how it's being done.
So it's one account. This year, we have two people sharing the extracurricular treasurer's job, probably the most challenging job in the district in a lot of ways. That account is audited annually by our auditors. It's one of the most audited accounts in any school district because there's a lot of nuances that take place with paying state taxes on some transactions and not on others. Plus, there's, for lack of a better terms, for our schools, decent size, but larger ones, a lot of different activities taking place. Each club that's listed there has an advisor and student officers in it. That's part of the setup for those type of things. And they get a monthly accounting of how they're doing with their fundraising for their expenses. As far as interest bearing, it's basically, for lack of a better term, it's in a simple checking account. That account is earning 2% monthly. That account has a lot of activity in it. Like if you see, especially as school starts, I know I just got the bank statement for October, which I pass on to the treasurers, and we'll have a meeting and go over that. But you're going to see a lot of transactions in and out. So the account balance on any given day in the month can fluctuate heavily. So it's difficult to tie up any of those funds long-term because it's not a huge profit-making, they're not there to make tons of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think the account has 78 or 80,000 in it. It will go lower in the year. So a simple checking account is the most viable place for them to have that money because it does have a lot of activity. If you need more questions answered, or you have some more, if you want to shoot them to me, I can get into some more further details.
You can't get any more interest on a checking bearing account?
How much you get in your checking account?
That's my,
It's 2%.
put it this way, more than
So
that.
Catskill Hudson Bank, it's not intermingled with our money. It's not district money per se.
I know.
Okay,
I
so
know.
they have been given the interest rate that our accounts get for simple checking accounts, which is a decent, I hate to say this, the 2% is decent. Let's just say it's been as low as 0.1%. But so they do get the 2% on that account as a sister account of part of our larger accounts.
No, I'm just looking to get as much money as you possibly can, because money comes hard today, and these kids work hard for it as best they can. So any amount that can go, if you can get more, let's do it.
Hey, can I just
Nope.
interject
I'm not done.
on that one?
I'm
On
sorry.
that. Looking at the student fund sheet that was given to us, one of the accounts has a negative balance from a previous class that has already graduated. How do we recoup those funds?
I don't have my notes in front of me right now for that account, but you will see occasionally that there will be a negative balance. In all likelihood, it's going to be hard to explain it. So there are times where there's monies left over from other classes. Can't recall the particulars of that one right off the top of my head, but there is a short term where there's a negative balance until we do the final reconciliations and move monies forward. So that account should be cleared up this month as we move forward. I will say, and be quite honest with you, there was a little turmoil in the summer because there was an illness, and we're trying to play catch up on the actual reconciliation, which we're real close on. And we went over it with our auditor when he was here, and he was fine when we went through June 30th. As a matter of fact, last month, September or October, I went and he helped me re-audit it again as we started the new year, and he's helping us reconcile that.
Oh, we were given a mission at the same time, driver ed and the lights for the track. And since superintendent gave her, I will give mine. Not totally prepared, but I'll tell you my concern. My concern is finances. It's not just purchasing those generators, those lights. It's a good idea, but we got to think of the whole picture. What are we doing for storage? Do we have storage for them? Because they should be inside year-round. Anything could happen to them. Maintenance. Who takes care of them? Maintenance. They have to be maintained. Make sure if it's their diesel goes in it, not gas. We've had that happen before, believe it or not. Also, setting them up. You got to have the proper height. And if you have a windstorm, you got liability. So those are some things. The noise was another one that they talked about. I mean, you can do a lot of resistors on it, but, is it going to perform the way it's supposed to perform? Setting them up. Who's going to set them up? The overtime that it's going to take to set those up could be costly, and taking them down. You can't leave them set up overnight. They have to be taken down because something could happen during the night. A storm could come in. Leasing them out to gain some money from them, maybe a ball field or something for the Little League or something. You still have to have an employee to do that because you don't want somebody else taking care of our machinery. Moving them around the campus, you got to have the proper vehicle to do that. And then you're going to move them around the campus. You might have your landscape being torn up by the vehicles putting them there. So, I think when you add it all up, I really believe it costs more to maintain them in a total picture than it does to buy them. So, I would recommend, now this is my own personal recommendation, I would recommend to continue to rent them when we need them. Because if they come in here and they're not prepared correctly and they're not up to date and there's something happens to them, it's on the person or the company we rent them from. I would recommend waiting until we have a capital project again. And let's do it right. Let's do it right. We should have a capital project which is coming up shortly. I assume Mr. Whitaker could answer that. But let's. It's important to figure it in. But let's do it right. Let's do it right, and not have a big cost. I know it's nice to have those lights at night's game. I was at the one at Fallsburg at Morningside. Lighting was okay, but, is it enough? Some dark spots. So you would have that with portable ones. So I would recommend waiting until you have a capital project, but I'm only 1 of 9, and I'd like to have some feedback now from some of you to see what you think. Now, they're about at at the time I looked at them, the cost, and I don't know if it fit the parameters that we would need according to an engineer, the height and stuff. But I figured 50, 60 feet, and that's what they gave me a price on. It was about $60,000 a unit. So you would need anywhere from 4 to 6. So that's quite an investment. Besides the liability and the cost of maintaining them and having an employee work overtime and stuff. But you be the judge. I'm 1 of 9, and I'd like to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Tammy?
Good evening. I'd like to thank the Tri-Valley Teachers Association for an amazing dinner. Everything was absolutely great. I don't know who made the beef chili, but I'd like the recipe if possible. It was very good. On Saturday, I attended the secondary school play. I'd just like to give a shout out to the theater students. They did an absolutely amazing job. The support students did absolutely wonderful. The sets were very nicely designed. The painting, all the details were just absolutely amazing. I really look forward to the next production for our students. And as somebody who's been going to the plays for several years, it was really, really nice and heartwarming to see the growth of our actors. It's very evident that they work hard. They have a passion for what they're doing. Their mentors are doing an amazing job with getting them, and I think the play that was selected was very appropriate for the season. It was a really good time for the evening. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Tammy. Rose?
I would also like to thank the TVTA for tonight's dinner. Wish I would have taken some extra brownies. Those were delicious. I do have a few questions, Erin. I'll start with the easiest. You mentioned the guidepost. Is that only online, or do families get printouts sent home?
So we have the digital version. We also have paper copies that we put at various locations in the community, the post office, the delis, the Daniel Pierce Library, the bank, we'll have them there. We also, if anybody's interested in a digital version, they can just give Norma a call or email Norma, and we'll make sure they get on the list, because we do have some families that sign up for it.
Okay. My next question, varsity jacket. I've had a few people ask me about these. Where and when are students able to purchase these? And also, is there some sort of discount for low-income families?
I know we had this discussion last year about the varsity jackets, and I think we had determined that we can't use taxpayer dollars to purchase a particular set of jackets or sweatshirts or anything for a particular team. It would have to come through the booster club, through the cast probably, or if the sports had their own booster club. I don't know if there's a sliding scale for families, but if we don't have one, that might be a good direction to look into.
Yeah, and is that something available for purchase by families all year long, or is there a certain time of year that families should be on the lookout for a link or something for that jacket? Does anyone know?
They're not through our sideline store. They don't offer a varsity jacket through that. So I'm not exactly sure where we've purchased the varsity jackets from in the past. I don't know if anybody can help me with that. Mr. Crudelli?
Okay, so if students are interested, they should go to the athletic office to grab a form.
There we go.
All right. And I was wondering if there is an update on the new pilot position that Jen Williams has been running.
Yeah, so Jen is rocking this multi-tier system of supports position and will be doing a presentation for us, I would probably say at the December meeting. There's just a lot of moving parts as she gets it off the ground. We are moving in a great direction. We are doing a lot of data inquiries. We're looking at where our kids are at. We're looking at absenteeism. We're looking at what interventions they're getting. Are they appropriate? Are they being monitored? We're also looking at a system to capture all of that data so that when we sit down to talk about a student, we can pull up really like a dashboard on each student. We can look at their referrals, their absenteeism, their test scores, their grades, and any other anecdotal notes are in there. And it lets us get a better picture on how each individual student is doing. So all of that is in the works. It is just, I know Jen is dying to get up here and present. We meet every week. We meet every week, and she is just making progress all over the place. I'll give her a huge shout out. Last year, Mr. Haynes's, 2 years ago, one of his students in the civics class bought 2 sets of earbuds for families to interpret. So we activated those, and Jen has been really wonderful supporting a brother and sister that have come into our district that don't speak English. And as a result, we've just ordered 20 more of those units to have in our offices for registrations when our families come in that don't speak English as their first language, and then also to support more students throughout the school. So there are some wonderful things happening.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
I would just like to thank the Tri-Valley teachers for the great meal. It's not often the board gets to sit and in a relaxed environment and have just plain conversation without talking business. So it was great. It really accomplishes a lot more than just the meal, but the whole concept is great, and the meal was great, and we thank you. I do agree with George with the lighting proposal. I think if we're going to do it, let's do it right and spend money wisely if we spend it at all. So we'll see how it goes. That's all I have.
Teacher Association, thanks for the chili. Lighting, that's a can that has been kicked down the road in this district for about 25 years. I was a student here actually when they first started discussing lights. And now I find myself as a board member still discussing lights. I think it's a great idea. I'm all in. Every district around us seems to find a way to do it. Somehow we find a way not to do it. So maybe it's time that the rubber meets the road and we actually get it done. While we're at it, let's get a better surface. Let's raise the roof in the gym too. That's all I have.
Just want to say thank you to the TVTA for dinner, just echoing everybody else's sentiments. A little bit of information I was able to look up while other people were speaking about driver's ed. SED requires 24 hours of in-classroom instruction, 24 hours of in-car instruction, 6 of which must be actual behind-the-wheel instruction. So kids will get at least 6 hours behind the wheel. So just thought I'd share that since I was curious when others asked the question.
I'm sorry, 6 hours total in a semester that's all they get driving?
That's
what's mandated?
That's what state ed mandates, yeah. So it's 24 hours of classroom instruction, 24 hours in the car. So you have a group of kids that go out, and 6 hours is actual driving of the 24 when they're in the car.
I would hope they would get more than that, really. I mean, no, I understand what you're saying, Pat. I don't have a problem with that because you're just reading. But I mean, Tri-Valley, let's do it right. Give them more experience, especially today. We care for their safety. That's why we're doing it. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move to item number 14. We're going to have an executive session tonight for the purpose of discussing matters related to the future investigation of an employee. There will be no further business conducted after this motion, and we thank everyone for coming, and there'll be no further official business. Can I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Motion by Tim,
Second.
Second by Tammy.
Yay.
Please proceed to vote.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
That is unanimous. Thank you. Be resolved, the board entered executive session at 8:23.